Well, hello everyone. Welcome. I'm Mark Howard, and that's my son Ian Howard. And we're really excited to be making a series of videos for you about the principles, the three principles, and how to share this impactfully with your clients. We wanted to start today to give you, one video on the on rapport and how important and valuable rapport is in helping your clients understand the principles. I really chose this as our starting point because, as you'll hear from Ian, he really has a beautiful way of quite naturally being in rapport with some very, very difficult clients. So we'll get started. I'm going to share a little bit. Ian will share some, and then hopefully this will be helpful to you. I think rapport, if we look at it from the understanding of the principles, is really that you're in a feeling of goodwill, really love and understanding with your clients. You know, you really want to welcome them and make them feel psychologically safe. But I think what separates being a principles practitioner from other approaches that talk about rapport is that we sit with our clients knowing that we're connected to them spiritually, that we're all a part of mind, and therefore we are already connected to one another. And that really helps us get into the feeling of being with another human being at their level. Also, the principles help us see that our clients have mental health within them. They have all the knowledge they need to find a way in life to be happy and solve their problems. So we sit with them helping to find a way that they can manifest that. So we're not really in a role of an expert, but we're there sitting heart to heart with our clients and helping them, guide them toward the understanding of these principles. So Ian, you've listened to Sydney Banks and you've been to several of his seminars and you've practiced the principles for many years now. What's your take on rapport?
Yeah, I think rapport is such an important piece of the building blocks of creating a relationship with your client. In particular, I think people, especially with certain populations that you work with, most people are coming into your office and they're not necessarily, there willingly all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes they come in, a loved one has let them know that, it's now or never. They got to come in and speak to somebody, or a parent is at the end of their wits, or so these are the kinds of people that come in to see us. They're at a pretty low place, and I don't know that everyone is coming in to necessarily, they're not necessarily coming in through their own volition sometimes, and
Yeah,
so
that's
sometimes
true.
the clients I see. And so with those clients, it's really essential that you show them that they're a partner in this, in the process. I think that's such an important piece. And for me, as a three principles practitioner in particular, I think that one of the biggest lessons I learned early on is when someone comes in, you want to make sure that you are not talking to them initially, because you have so much to share. I think as a 3P practitioner, I think you have a lot of insight, a lot of understanding, and you can already, when you're just meeting someone, you can kind of see where you may want to take things, but that has to come later.
Mm-hmm.
They have to, that's why rapport is so important. They have to be able to hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
So a lot of the first sessions, and even at times, first 3 or 4 sessions, I'm doing a lot of my teaching at the end of the sessions. They're talking a lot and I'm listening, and I may say a thing or two, but I'm really looking for points where I can join with them, whether that's video games or music or clothes or anything. I try to kind of just inquire about that once I get what's going on for them. Once I get the understanding of why they're here, I start to look for things that can connect us.
Oh, that's beautifully said. I agree with you. I talk about that all the time, that we're so excited about our understanding, and we want to share right away. And that really never goes over well because you don't have a relationship yet. People don't trust you. They don't have faith in you yet. They're not feeling connected to you. So like you've shared, you need to get the rapport and the relationship first before you really teach anything. And I love what you said about, just talking to them about life, what their interests are. And I know you're not doing that as a technique. You're just finding a way to be with them and have them feel that you're there for them and that you have an understanding for them. And you really do have interest in those areas with them. And as people feel more comfortable, then it's time to see if they might hear something we have to say about the principle. So I love what you just shared there. That was beautiful.
Mhm.
But what I heard from you, Ian, was some really, really powerful stories about how you went about just developing rapport first before doing anything. And I don't know if you're up to it, but I love the story when you were dealing in that clinic with really emotionally troubled teens who were not coming in. They weren't coming in to see anybody, including you when you started. And you just found the beautiful way to start to get rapport with clients. Can you share that story?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I think, I was working at an intensive mental health clinic through Department of Mental Health here in LA County. And a lot of the clients that, were coming in, they were, I mean, and talk about being forced to come in. The police or the hospital or the county is asking you to come in and receive services, and you're pretty young and you don't think much is going on. So what we found was that going in the community for the first meeting was really important. And what that brought on is a lot of people would go into the community and would kind of do an assessment, and that wouldn't necessarily connect them with the client. And so what I found was if you're going in to meet with the client in their home, you find out what they're interested in. If they're interested in, I had said earlier, video games, but those, video games, board games, anything that can connect you to a client, I think, is a powerful piece. And, for me, part of the whole reason that you're connecting, like, you had said earlier, it's not a technique to connect to someone. I think that just the relationship is healing, right?
Yeah.
Just the relationship, just the rapport is where I think a lot of the work is done. And I feel like people forget that. They think that the intervention they're going to do or the style of, they have a 7-week program and they got to get through all these steps. And really the most powerful piece you have is that rapport and connection, because that in and of itself is healing for people, for them to have an experience with another person that is genuine, that doesn't necessarily have any strings attached. And that can be tough when you're coming in like as a provider and you're being hired to meet with them. That's really the tough part. And I think that's where I really got to understand rapport building, because you had to get past the initial, I mean, you're coming into these homes kind of like the police. I mean, you're seen as another arm of, the state.
Mhm.
And in order to help people, you had to just find a way to connect with them and see that you're genuinely there for them. And so that can, that can be complicated. At the same time, it's a simple thing of finding a moment with somebody where you can genuinely just have an honest connection.
Oh gosh, I think that's really beautiful, and it's helpful. I think no matter what the setting is, that three principles people practice with their clients, whether it's coaching or actual mental health services or other health services. I love that you said the relationship of rapport can heal.
Mm.
I mean, when people feel the love and care, I mean, genuine, love, and sitting there knowing you're connected and you're just finding a way to be human to human, heart to heart. That settles people's minds down. So I love that you shared that. That was beautiful. I wanted to just say that that was the way you found you had to go out and reach out. You had to reach out to clients. They weren't coming in voluntarily, even if they were ordered to. And people were very emotionally disturbed, young adults. And you were able to, like you say, bridge that gap from how they perceived you to having them really trust you and have faith in you, because you saw the health in them, but also that you needed to help them see you were there for them. And you don't brag about yourself, but the result of that was that these kids started to come into the clinic and ask for you, that your ability to develop rapport over just a course of a few months, people started to come to the clinic and ask specifically for you. Word in the community got out. Yeah. So I'm glad that you brought those points up about rapport. Mm-hmm. And just before we close on this section of rapport, is there any other story that highlights your experience with rapport, particularly with your populations?
I can think of one recent story. I do have, a gentleman who came in to the clinic I'm with now, who was really reluctant to meet with anybody. And I think for me initially, I think the tough thing was I really felt, knowing all this about rapport and connection, I was having trouble connecting with him. I mean, even when you know it, you can fall into, I think, some of the traps that come up when you're a therapist or someone, helping someone else. And it initially for me, it felt like he wasn't here necessarily to get better. But around our third meeting, I let that go a bit, let that kind of feeling go. And I didn't have any thought about what, why he was here or if it was genuine or not. I just listened. And that changed everything. I really saw him as a genuine participant. And it moved us from a basic, relationship to the therapist, to the therapeutic alliance, really. It moved us in that session, because the next session he came in and he was completely different. And I felt different. Yeah. So even when you know about rapport, you can get tripped up by the way that people come into you. So it's just important to try and remember that no matter the reason someone is in the room with you, they're in the room with you. And so that's your opportunity to connect with somebody.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. I talk all the time, as I've mentored a number of practitioners, about how easy it is to get into some kind of thinking about the person, some insecure thinking or judgmental thinking. And even though you know so much, it happens, right? Like you just described, it happens to me too. The thing about what's beautiful about the principles is that you can recognize what you're doing. As like you said, when that quieted down, you really saw once again what I call the humanness of our clients, and that changes the whole thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And just really briefly, in my population, I worked with a lot of addicted people, and they always say, well, they're in denial and they're in resistance. Well, that denial and resistance leaves the minute they feel that you are genuinely there for them. That feeling of connection, they don't resist what you have to say. They're right there with you. And I love what you brought out today about the power of rapport itself. Mm-hmm. So this is our first video together, a father and son's perspective on the principles. We have more to say on rapport, but we also have more to say about other aspects of the principles. So we'll be sending out these videos probably every 3 weeks or so, and hopefully you'll find them helpful. If you have any questions and you'd like to get a hold of me, you can email me at Dr. Mark Howard at Comcast.net. Dr. Mark Howard at Comcast.net. How could they get a hold of you, Ian?
So they can get a hold of me. They can email me at ianhowardlmft@gmail.com. ianhowardlmft@gmail.com.
Great. So I hope this was helpful to all of you. We'd love to hear what you think and any questions you have, really, and anything else you'd like us to speak to an upcoming series. So Ian, great to be with you on this. That was really great how we brought some things out about rapport.
Yeah.
So until the next time, everyone, thanks for your watching this, and I hope you found it helpful.
Yeah. Thank you.